Today I want to really try and give you some hope. I was talking to someone the other day, and she had talked with me several years ago, and she reached out and she just said, I want to tell you one of the biggest things I learned was that I was and am stronger than I thought I was. And we talked about just how things had gone on and what work they had done and where their marriage was at now, and we had just a great kind of catch-up moment, if you will. And I know for me, when my infidelity came out, I was shattered. The only person more shattered was Samantha, and rightly so. But the problem with infidelity is it shatters your world, but then anytime you go to a public place, you immediately feel this shame. You immediately feel this discouragement and embarrassment because of what you've done. You wonder, who knows, who am I going to have to tell? If you go to your office where you work or what have you, there's still this overcoming shame and embarrassment for either your choices or your spouse's choices. And it's an enveloping sense of despair that comes upon you. The other thing is, it's very typical that when infidelity comes out, you lose all your friends, even if you're a betrayed spouse. But for me, having been in the public eye and being surrounded by so many relationships and people that I thought would never leave me, when it all came out, I had 1.2 friends left. I had one friend that was willing to stick by me, who said, I hate what you've done, I kind of hate you, but I love you and I'm not going anywhere. I had 0.2 of a friend who decided to help me because he said, you know what, I hate you, but you probably don't have any other friends, and God is making me help you. Do with it what you will, but that was the truth. And I want to help you understand a few things, because I really do think that this will be a journey for you, betrayed or unfaithful, where you will realize that you're stronger than you actually think you are. Now, I say that because I know that you're probably, if you're on this video blog, you're probably dealing with lots of emotions. It's probably difficult to eat, incredibly difficult to sleep. The dreams, the reminders, the triggers, the ups, the downs, the uncertainties, the attorneys. The list goes on and on. And my hope today is to connect with you where you're at, to help you see that I'm very confident years from now you'll look back and say, you know what, Samuel was right. I am stronger than I thought I was. I was convinced life was over. I was convinced I'll never have any meaningful impact in life again. And once I got over the suicidal thoughts, I realized if I only can live to be a good dad, then that's literally the only hope that I had. I was convinced God was done with me. I was convinced everybody in my life was going to disown me, and they did. But I was able to find hope and strength. And so my first point for you today is to don't be shocked at how intimidating this whole thing is. This transfigures every area of your life. Your finances, your relationship with your children, if you have children, family. If you are in the public eye, this has the ability to completely eradicate much of the positive influence that you have had if you are an unfaithful spouse. If you are a betrayed spouse, the shame, the humiliation, the attacks, the allegations, the comparisons, all the things that swarm you are devastating. So I want you to understand that it is incredibly intimidating to think that you're going to get through this. There's just inherently within this struggle and crisis, this overwhelming intimidation that says you'll never get through it, you'll never get onto the other side, you'll never get your life back, you'll never be able to think clearly, you're always going to be this and this and this and this. You have to resist the urge to figure it all out right now. You just can't. There's too many layers. There's too much oppression. There's too much weight to this to figure it all out right now. And I know for me, one of my biggest tendencies, especially if you are a control freak like me, unfaithful or betrayed, it's okay to not know what's going to happen. It's okay to have things be radically uncertain right now and incredibly uncomfortable, because that quest or that need for clarity is going to be unmet right now because it's probably incredibly uncertain, and that's okay. How we act, how we carry ourselves when things are uncertain says a lot about what's going on inside of us. All of this is incredibly intimidating, not because you're weak, but because this whole ordeal is incredibly traumatic. You know, I would sit back and think, man, I'm so weak. I thought I was so strong. I'm such a baby. I'm such just a this and self-loathing and self-hatred and all that stuff. But until someone like Rick came along and said, wait a minute, it's not that you're weak, it's that this is incredibly overwhelming. It's not that you're a baby. It's not that you don't have a strong capacity. It's that this is so overwhelming. It is okay to be uncertain and to be a mess and to feel like you can't find any footing. Another thing that really will help you in this time is to journal. Now, even if you're not a journaler, I would encourage you to find a way to put some things on paper because, like Samantha and I both have done, you'll look back years later and go, whoa, like I can feel how hopeless I was, how discouraged I was. And then I can see where there was little blips on the radar of hope and little blips of encouragement. And I can see how I was yet so low, but yet look at how far I've come personally. So I would encourage you to journal because you're going to want to read some of that stuff years down the road and see what you overcame and what you came through and what you never thought you were going to be able to handle, but yet you did handle it, and look at you now. Another thing that will really help you, if you're wired this way, is I would watch movies, read stories, books, anything of great survival stories. Cinderella Man is one of my favorite movies of all time. It just talks about going from everything to absolutely nothing to a whole different alignment of what is everything. It's a fantastic movie. I highly recommend it. I watched that, The Pursuit of Happiness, Braveheart. I would get my hands on anything that would encourage me or inspire me. I watched all of the Rocky series as often as I could. I mean, I was grasping for anything that would show me a picture of overcoming and fighting through incredible, insurmountable odds. Finally, one of the best things you can also do is identify how you want to be as a person. In light of this leveling of the playing field, morally, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, begin to maybe write out, think about, what kind of a person do you want to be in light of all of this trauma? How do you want to be as a father, as a husband, as a man, as a woman, as a wife, as a friend? What do you want to be? What have you learned, or what are you learning that you never want to be again? Maybe you are realizing what a selfish, narcissistic, self-absorbed idiot you were. I literally wrote those words down as I was getting healthy. And I never want to be that again. Never, ever. I went through this season where I started to say, this is how I feel like I want to be. This is the person I want to be. I asked Samantha for feedback when we were down the road. What is it? How would you like me to be as a man, as a husband, as a spouse, or what have you? I mean, I got very vulnerable. What would make you more attracted to me? Obviously, down the road further. But I had to identify, what kind of a person do I want to be? Because the person that I was completely bottomed out and destroyed lives. What's the new person that I need to be? What are the character changes that need to happen inside of me? Because when you're at ground zero, you can see pretty clearly what didn't work about you as a person. So as you fight through this season, I promise you, you're stronger than you think. It doesn't mean you're not going to have to fight and war and claw and crawl, but you're going to get back up on your feet again, and you're going to look back and say, man, Samuel was right. I am stronger than I thought I was.